Kanye West is firmly,
he's imploding,
swiftly, heavily imploding and being legitimately canceled. Which I thought Kanye West was like an uncancelable
Kanye
person.
thought Kanye was uncancelable. Which also, when you say swiftly, is that a Taylor Swift pun?
It wasn't supposed to be, but it can be.
Oh, I bet.
All right, but we're gonna start with a timeline because all of this, like, it's hard to keep straight, as are most things with Kanye West. As I'm sure Kanye West's own personal thoughts are very hard to keep in place. But
that escalated quickly.
Yep,
it really did. So we'll start with October 2nd. October 2nd, Kanye was in Paris for the Fashion Week show, and he walked at the Balenciaga fashion show, who he had a brand partnership with, and that is where he had the White Lives Matter shirts. That's where they first kind of blew up. Jaden Smith and a bunch of other people walked out.
With guest Candace Owens in tow with Kanye there.
Exactly.
If you know who Candace Owens is.
His little Candace Owens tote bag, right?
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, so he has the White Lives Matter shirts and all that stuff on the 2nd. Throughout the 3rd, everybody and their mothers coming out saying this is just absolutely fucking ridiculous. This is despicable. How could you possibly do something like this? And then from the 3rd on to the 8th of October, Kanye goes on his just Twitter and Instagram tirade.
Sheesh.
Where he's saying, Black Lives Matter was a scam. It's bullshit. Coming after this, that, and the other. And everybody, basically just declaring war on anyone that doesn't agree with him.
Oh, yeah.
And on the 8th, that is when he sent out the infamous, "When I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people."
It was pointed out to me that he spelled DEFCON wrong.
Yeah.
It was whatever. We're moving on. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that's a funny little tidbit. But October 8th and 9th, his Instagram and Twitter accounts were restricted and shut down basically for a short period of time.
Yep.
And that kind of caused a further avalanche where over the 10th to the 17th, his radio play and his streams were declining significantly. As far as radio play and his audience reached, there's a statistic of a 21% drop-off in decrease in radio play and in the audience that his music reached through the radio.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So big drop-off. There isn't numbers for Spotify or Apple Music or streaming numbers that I could find, but I'm sure they're out there, and I'm sure that it's probably significant as well.
Yeah, they do month by month on Spotify at least, so we'd probably have to wait till November to see how
It'll
badly
be interesting
his monthly listeners are affected.
Yeah, his September streams versus his October and November streams.
Exactly, yeah.
October 19th, the CEO, Ari Emanuel, he is the CEO of, where is it? I had it here. Of Endeavor. So big financial guy. He published an op-ed in the Financial Times where he called on people like Apple, Spotify, and other businesses to cut ties with them. He did a similar thing in 2006 when Mel Gibson had his super anti-Semitic comments and things like that. So my imagination is he's a Jewish CEO that doesn't like being spoken down upon and doesn't like anti-Semitism, which I can agree with.
I'm going to be quiet. Continue.
But shortly after that, October 21st, Balenciaga severs their relationship and partnership with Kanye West. They were the first big name brand to be like, "You out, get the bouncer, we're kicking this guy out the club." It would continue to unravel. JP Morgan would cut ties with him on October 24th.
It's a big one.
So on Monday, Kim and Khloe Kardashian speak out and post these Instagram stories. But one little tidbit here is that they didn't call out Kanye West by name at all. Anywhere in any of the things that they were posting, they were speaking out against anti-Semitism and against hate speech, but taking the cop-out road of not specifically addressing the elephant in the room that everybody knew they were talking about. They just decided to tiptoe around the subject.
That's interesting. Okay.
Then, again, on October 24th, he had a documentary that was being produced and filmed and put together by agency MRC, scrapped and dropped. And he was also dropped by his agency, Creative Artists Agency. They kicked him to the curb as well. October 25th, the next day, gets even more juicy, and this is where the house in a can of gasoline really just goes up in flames. So I wake up to a Twitter notification of Adidas ending the brand partnership with Kanye West. The Gap follows suit and pulls all Yeezy products from their store, from their website. The Yeezy Gap website now no longer exists. You type that in, it directs just back to Gap. And all Yeezy products are out of their store, done, kaput, nothing. Foot Locker, additionally, dropped all Yeezy products. Spotify CEO came out and blasted all of his comments and his hate speech and his anti-Semitic dialect, but did go as far to say that Spotify will not be pulling his music because his music doesn't have this anti-Semiticness in it, and they will only pull his music if his label or if he or the label that owns the music requests that it be pulled. Furthermore, Universal Music Group and Sony came out and also echoed the Spotify CEO's sentiments, blasting his hate speech. Important to note here that their strong words are great, but there's nothing for UMG or for Sony really to do here. He doesn't have a contract in place with them. Def Jam, which is under Universal Music Group, their partnership with Ye as a recording artist, the Good Music label, and the merchandise that he agreed to do with Def Jam, all of that ended in 2021. There's no renewed contracts there, so there's nothing for him to get dropped on. And Sony Music, his deal with them as their publishing administrator for Kanye's catalog, that deal expired in early 2022, and it was not renewed either. So nothing really for them to do. And then kind of the cherry on top for that day was Aaron Donald and Jaylen Brown part ways with Donda Sports, which those Aaron Donald, arguably the best defensive player in the NFL, and Jaylen Brown, one of the new stars in the NBA, sure. Young stars, part of that Celtics duo of him and Jason Tatum. They part ways with Donda Sports. So as if a just terrible, terrible day for Kanye West couldn't get worse. Today, October 26th, TJ Maxx announced that they will not be purchasing any Yeezy products for resale in their stores. If you don't know TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Home Goods, they run plethora of stores that buys out-of-stock clothing and other items from big box manufacturers and
overstock,
big
right?
box stores, overstock.
Yeah, okay.
From stores like Macy's and things like that. So TJ Maxx, their whole group, isn't buying any of the Yeezy stuff. The Donda Academy today was also removed from a very prevalent high school basketball tournament.
Which that one's petty, but okay.
It was petty, but okay.
Okay.
Those kids didn't do anything about this.
Come on.
But the kind of cherry on top of all of this, today his wax figurine was removed from Madame Tussauds wax figurine museum in London. So even Wax Kanye is getting
canceled.
So that's a long timeline. There was a lot to cover there. We wanted to give you the framework of what is now a divisive piece of shit went through this month that he really brought upon himself.
He did. He certainly did.
So I've done a lot of talking here. I've got some points. I'm going to let you take the floor for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one because I don't know if you people can see in the background, Kanye is still up on my wall there, and that's where he shall remain. And I don't feel bad about it. And it's funny that people will walk into my place now, and they'll be like, oh, Kanye? And I'm like, the same person, had a different reaction 4 months ago. Chill. Just chill out. But with that being said, I want to preface all my comments with, and the same thing that I tweeted, nothing that any celebrity could ever say could change the way I feel about my friends, Jewish or otherwise, at any point, you know? And with that being said, there are two sides to this. For me, two sides. One, hate speech is always bad. Whoa. He's got
revolutionary comments here.
He's got the big opinions. Yeah, and I said this before. I don't think any kind of, hate mongering in marketing, any kind of outrage marketing is good. You know what I mean? A lot of people do that these days. They know they're going to get the headlines. They know they're going to use this outrage to catapult whatever project, whatever thing they're launching, right? And I do think that there might be a part of that with what Kanye's saying, right? I hate that. I think that is absolutely the wrong way to go. No matter what, I think that's incorrect, especially when you're, alienating parts of your fan base, which would be, in this case, Jewish people and stuff like that. So with that being said, I did think it was really funny to see, funny not like haha, but funny like,
that's weird,
to see all of the backlash and where it came from. So the original places where a lot of backlash came from were a lot of news anchors and people who are big in media, CEOs of companies, big media. So I saw, Casey Neistat on YouTube, one of the biggest YouTubers, made a big video about, oh, Kanye, like, you broke my heart, blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting to see where the people are coming out of the woodwork from this. He says that, Jews control media and stuff like that. And lo and behold, these CEOs of these giant media conglomerates, these anchors of these morning shows, these news shows, these talk shows, these giant YouTubers, all just happen to land on one side of that coin. And I'm not saying it's a giant conspiracy, and if you think it is, you're a fucking idiot. There is no giant Jewish conspiracy to take over the world. I'll tell you that right now. But there may be.
Because if there was, they would have done it a long time ago. They're very smart people.
I can't speak for everybody. But there are a lot of people who still think that, and that's just wrong. That is incorrect. And there are plenty of Jewish people I know that are not involved in some cabal that's trying to take over the world. But I do know that there are a lot of...
I would say every Jewish person I know is not involved in a cabal to take over the world. I think it's a safe statement.
I think that's pretty safe, that I know. But there are
me personally,
rich people across religions, across, countries, across ethnicities that are involved in coordinated campaigns to control the way we think, to try to get certain policies passed, to try to silence certain voices and things like that. And what I will say is that the anti-Semitic twinges and all the whatever you call it, the rants, it's not benefiting anybody. It's not helping anybody. It's not making anybody feel good. It's not opening anybody's eyes to anything. That's
definitely not helping him.
You know what I mean? And, kind of to bring this point to an end, I think that whatever he was doing, he went about it the wrong way. He offended a lot of people, and I absolutely disavow the statements for that reason. The other side of it being, Kanye kind of finessed his way out of a lot of contracts, a month and a half, 2 months ago. He said he didn't want to be in, you know what I mean? Adidas, Gap. There's a lot of discontentment as it came to the projects that he was working on. You know what I mean? He was bad-mouthing Vogue and what's her name? The head Vogue editor. Bad-mouthing Balenciaga. Anna Wintour is her name. Just bad-mouthing these people and talking shit about the amount of control that they have over him, over his life, over his creativity. And now he's all of a sudden out of all these contracts. I know Adidas made it a big note to make sure to say that they still own all the proprietary rights to the designs and stuff like that, and they won't be making more anyway, whatever. So that's one thing. But I don't know what this means for the contracts. And I was talking to my roommate yesterday. I'm sure he didn't do this, but what if he did sit down with his lawyers and say, hey, what if I were to make this outrage campaign to get out of these contracts, and the public then pressures these companies, which Adidas was started by Nazis, let's not forget, pressure these companies to drop me. So there are so many different angles and people that want different things out of this. So Candace Owens, for example, get the fuck out with the absolute agenda from people like Candace Owens, right? Trying to get certain media pieces off, trying to push her own thing. But there are a lot of people that are doing this right now, trying to get certain groups rallied to support whatever their stupid cause is. Nobody cares. I think Kanye may have pulled a big genius, big brain move to get out of these contracts, but I think he pulled it in the smallest smooth brain, dumb person, hateful possible way. I don't think Kanye is going away anytime soon, and I'm interested in what your points are, Justin.
Yeah, so I mean, you bring up a very good point. I think that if this is something that he did, so there's kind of two ways to look at it, right? He's either like super delusional, deranged, potentially off meds, and manic, and that's where a lot of this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Or he was like, nobody's going to expect me to just completely, like, just create a huge dumpster fire around my own self and self-sabotage my entire rapport and how people view me. So I'm going to do that to get out of these contracts to go back to do what I want. But I think that I don't think he did that. I don't think anybody
so, yeah.
is. I mean, I think people are definitely smart enough to think of that as a plot, but I don't think that there's a way to go through with a plot like that without it ending up like this. Because to get out of those contracts, you would have to create so much turmoil and so much bad press and so much outrage and hatred towards that individual that the brand is partnering with that would get it to be pushed to a brink or a point like this where they have to sever those relationships. I don't think any person with a median above average IQ would look at that possibility and be like, okay, it's worth that. Because it's not. Because he's damaging his image to the masses so significantly that if he does start his own shit from the ground up where he owns it 100%, he does the manufacturing, he does the production, the distribution, everything. If he does all of that, he's at a point where he's damaged his image and likeness so much and he's viewed as this divisive person that probably 50% of the people that bought Yeezys are going to be like, nah, I don't know. I don't want that. I don't want a part of you. I don't want to give my money to you. It would almost make his products less desirable than his Yeezy Boosts are right now, because now you're not buying a shoe that was designed by Kanye. You're buying a shoe where 100% of the profits goes to that divisive individual.
Yeah.
So I think it's a huge big brain concept or idea, but I don't think that's where it's coming from. Did you watch the Chris Cuomo interview that he did?
I saw clips from some of it.
I put myself through the pain of watching the whole 25 minute interview last night because I knew we were going to talk about this. And I think that's the most relatively available long form interview where it's not super chopped up and produced. That's just 20 minutes of him and Chris Cuomo talking live on air. And a few takeaways. I think that's the best that Chris Cuomo has looked in years, and that's the best that he will ever look in years, because he's trying to talk sense into this man spouting off anti-Semitic comments live on air.
Trying to make people forget about him defending his brother's sexual misconduct allegations.
Yeah, or punching somebody in the face because they called him Spicoli, or all of this shit. That's the best he's ever looked, and it's probably the best he will ever look.
Dead facts.
He dies in 25 years. We have holograms and in LED screens on our fucking tombstones. He's going to have this interview just running on a loop on his tombstone. But
that's good.
I think what we've seen over like the past 4 or 5 years is really like the impact that being in this spotlight and having this platform can do and can have on somebody that isn't necessarily mentally healthy and has mental health issues. I think it's well documented that he has bipolar disorder. I think he's openly said that, both on songs and both in the media. And I think that, I've never had a relationship or a friendship or had anybody in my life that has bipolar disorder, but I know people that have, and we've seen it in TV shows and Shameless. You can see, and what it really appears in that interview is that he looks like a person that is going through a manic episode, where you can't talk any sense into him, and where it was a very argumentative interview. It was an interview where he came in pissed already, and you've got I mean, it's a new news network, but it's still a very large platform, and Chris Cuomo has pull. People are watching. You have a big platform that you're getting brought onto to give you 20 minutes to talk about whatever you want to talk about. And he comes in argumentative, defensive, and aggressive because he was calling him Kanye West. He goes, "Sir, my name is Ye. I need you to address me by my name, sir." Like, okay, dude, chill. We get it, Ye, Mr. Ye. And he then goes off to spout off about the Jewish media, like you talked about, and how his Jewish lawyer and his Jewish accountant and all these Jewish people in his lives were scheming against him, and how all of the bad business deals that he had done are from Jewish people. And I think that what may be going on in his mind is that he has all of these negative experiences, whether it be bad business dealings, personal lives, people running news stories about him, and he sees a common thread of, well, this person is Jewish. Yeah. Well, this person is Jewish.
Yeah.
And he's connecting the dots where a logical person could then say, okay, yes, there's a commonality between these bad business dealings and between the executives at the company having a common faith and a common religion, but that doesn't mean that all of the Jewish people in the world are conspiring against me, right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing that the NRA says about guns. It's, well, you can't take away all of our guns just because one bad egg took an AR-15 and shot up a school. You know, you can't do that. It's the same, like, logic that the NRA uses about guns, but that Chris Cuomo was trying to explain to Kanye live on air, and he's just not having any of it. He goes on to talk about how record labels are owned by Jewish people, white Jewish people, and how all of the black artists that are working for them, it's modern day slavery, and comparing it to that. And then the kind of sad, funny aspect of it was when he's talking about all these anti-Semitic comments and this, that, and the other, and he goes, well, Chris, I don't know if you know this, I can't be anti-Semitic because I'm black. I can trace my lineage back to the Jewish faith, and my father was a Black Panther, and my mother marched here, and all of this stuff. I can't be anti-Semitic. And it's like, no, you absolutely 100% can be. The same way that black people can be racist, that gay people can discriminate against straight people or transgender people. Anybody can be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And you're being a piece of shit.
Yeah, but no matter what, you can be bigoted, discriminatory. You know what I mean? And it has no age, race, gender attached to it. Like, you can be discriminatory and bigoted and problematic. Yeah.
The roundabout thing that I took away, or like the long story short that I took away from that interview, is that it really, like, it looks like a person that just isn't mentally well, and that isn't thinking logically and is going through like a manic episode where they're making decisions that they're not like thinking about logically. Because at the end of his interview, Chris Cuomo does start talking about that. He's like, I just want to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Like, are you taking care of yourself both physically and mentally? And then he gets super defensive over that. He goes, well, let me ask you this, Chris. Did you work out today? He goes, no, not this morning. I didn't. But I took my medicine. I took my antidepressants today. I took all of my medicine. And
Chris Cuomo's on antidepressants.
Like, I just blasted that out there. I was like, all right, Chris. Like at the end of the interview, Chris is like, I want you to, make sure you're taking care of yourself. And Kanye starts saying, well, you gave me this platform and you let me say anything. Like, you didn't even, I haven't been able to say anything. And he's like, Kanye, you've primarily talked this entire time. We've given you the platform, and you've been free to say whatever you said. He goes, I haven't felt free to say anything. well, we gave you a platform on this area or on this network, and we haven't said anything, and we're letting you give out your thoughts. So I would have hoped you felt free here. He goes, well, thank you for telling me how to feel, and hangs up the phone call.
Nice.
Like you're taking like two words and just twisting it and saying whatever you want. So I don't know how any of this is going to play out. It's going to be just an ongoing circus, I'm sure, because he'll make sure to stay in the media. If he buys Parler, that's going to continue to fan the flames. Some other little tidbits. He lost his billionaire status.
Yeah.
His estimated net worth is now at $400 million. 2 days ago, it was estimated at $2 billion. So that's pretty bad. And then, did you see the notes about Skechers today?
No.
He and a few people from his team showed up uninvited to Skechers headquarters to try and like walk in and get an impromptu meeting with their executives. And the executives promptly turned him around and walked him outside of the building, saying, we don't have any business dealings with Kanye West, and we don't want to have any business dealings with Kanye West. My man can't even get a meeting with Skechers.
Skechers is on the come up, you know what I mean? It's like trying to get a New Balance meeting like 5 years ago, you know what I mean? Like, New Balance is huge now. Skechers is making big moves.
The one thing I will say, though, is that the Yeezys are selling. The two pairs of foam runners that I had them listed on eBay probably for the last 3 months at $210 with free shipping. And I couldn't get anybody to buy them. Both pairs sold today.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. So a couple things I want to finish up on, at least on my side. There's a very thin barrier between the truth and free speech and realizing, you know, certain things about the world, and conspiracy theories and conspiracy mongering, stuff like that, and hate speech and things of that nature, and defamatory language and shit like that. And the walls are very thin on certain subjects, you know what I mean? And I definitely think that even if I had a banker, a lawyer, a business deal that went bad, right? They were all Jewish people, and they all even went to the same temple, right? That would never lead my mind to be like, Jewish people are against me. It'd lead my mind to be like, those guys fucking suck. Those three guys that all happen to go to the same temple or whatever.
And if they went to the same temple, I'd maybe be like, man, maybe those guys conspired against me, and maybe like stay away from that temple. But I'm not going to look at the entire Jewish faith. Like, come on, man.
So you have situations like that where now Kanye is in that, where he is now generalizing, which I've said in the past, generalizations are terrible. When you're generalizing, you're always going to lose. And then he's also having people like Candace Owens, which he mentioned the Parler possible buy. What was it? Her brother owns Parler right now and is possibly the one that Kanye is going to be buying it from, or he's the CEO. Sorry, he's the CEO of Parler. You have bad actors around you that are pushing their own agendas. You then have terrible conspiracy theories that you're making up in your own mind. And then you have giant platforms where you're able to spread it and be misled in front of millions upon billions of people. It's really just a culmination of all the wrong things happening at the right time for him right now. And you're right, he's not going to go anywhere because they're going to be in the media and stuff like that. But we're just going to have to continue and watch. But at least we know how we stand. And it's actually, for me, it's been good to see how different people in my network stand on it. Because people that go a little too far with the disavowing and the cancel culture is easy to see and worrisome. And how far will you sheep your way into canceling whatever it be, not just Kanye, right? But then also people who go too far in the defending Kanye, as in, oh, these Jewish people actually are, blah, 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 this, that, conspiracy theory. I'm like, okay, well, now you're on the other side where you're just, mongering these conspiracy theories. So
the one thing,
come on.
I will say to, not necessarily to Kanye's defense, because everything that he's doing right now is indefensible. The anti-Semitic comments, indefensible. The conspiracy theories and pushing that agenda is indefensible. What I will say is that Adidas, while they own Yeezy, they don't own Yeezy.
Yeah.
They own it on paper. But Kanye West, Mr. Ye, built that brand. He took Adidas's like worth in stock price and inflated it through the fucking roof over the past 7-8 years since that deal started. Without Yeezy, like Adidas is not even close to being a player in like the sneaker community. You go to these sneaker websites and like you're trying to look for release dates, they have Jordan release dates, they have Nike release dates, and then they have Yeezy release dates. They don't have Adidas release dates, they have Yeezy release dates. Adidas didn't come up with these designs. They own them on paper because of the legal documents, but Kanye West came up with the designs. He came up with the colorways, he came up with the silhouettes. He built that brand from the ground up. Adidas without Yeezy is nothing in comparison to Nike.
I agree.
Nothing. They don't even hold a candle to the flame. So that is the one thing that I will say that I think you need to. We've talked about taking the good with the bad here, and I don't think that we should disavow Kanye West in his statements, but credit where credit is due. He built an unbelievable brand that people covet. The turtle doves up on the top shelf, the original ones that came out in 2013, whenever they came out, without Kanye West and him building that, those shoes that sold for $150 in 2013 are not selling for over $1,000 right now.
No chance.
So you give credit where credit's due. Kanye West owns Yeezy, even though he doesn't own Yeezy.
Yeah, man, we're just going to have to update and see where the story takes us. I hope people don't clip any of these little sentences we've said out of context and get us.
Yeah, you can't clip
canceled.
this shit and pull it out of context. Come on.
That's why I like to do YouTube things. So definitely when we put this up, I want to make sure that we put this one out there because I want to get a lot of people's takes. You know what I mean? What has the last couple weeks of Kanye, the Kanye apocalypse, the Ye-apocalypse, is that the Yarmageddon?
Ye-mageddon.
Ye-mageddon. The last couple weeks of Ye-mageddon, how has it affected you? But we'll see. You know, I think it's time that we move on. We did the damn thing.
Let's go to some segments.
Okay, let's go.